Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today is another mailbag show. Richard and I are answering questions from you submitted via several sources. First question. I have a question for Bob. I'm a slot hustler. While I get some okay mailers from my local shops, the amount I earn from positive games absolutely dwarfs the amount I earn from mailers cashback comps. It's probably a 98% to 2 cent split for me personally. 98 from playing positive stake games and 2% from comps. Here's my question. In your AP careers, what percentage of your income roughly was split between positive EV games and casino comps? Bob, could you answer the question in two parts? When I was playing primarily VP and now he's gotten into AP slots. I'm particularly interested in his percentage now that he's playing slots. All right. This has changed over the years. Back in 1996, Treasure Island, Mirage, and others on the Las Vegas Strip offered a .67 cashback on 9-6 jacks or better video poker. That's 99.5% game. This gives players almost .2 off the top. Monthly promotions where they gave away hundreds of thousands of dollars to invited guests who earned tickets starting Thursday midnight to the 7 p.m. Saturday drawing. For about $15,000 coin in, which was less than 1 hour on a $5 machine, you got full RFB. You could delay your Sunday checkout until 8 p.m. or so, which extended your RFB status until then. The MGM Grand had a bigger slot club. Venetian and Golden Nugget were in the mix as well. There was one of these events almost every weekend with a cash EV around $2,000 per weekend per player per casino, plus RFB, with some players ate $500 meals every night. Sometimes it was a slot tournament giving away the money, so you didn't have to be there for the party afterwards to collect your prizes. That way you could participate in more than one event per weekend. I hadn't played at Caesars property at that time simply because I didn't have enough time. Back then, it was fairly rare for video poker players to be kicked out or restricted from a casino. This golden age of video poker promotions lasted, for me anyway, until 2001, when I was removed from all MGM properties, which had bought half the properties on the Strip by then. Gradually, all the slot clubs began to pay less, and you sometimes got mailers in the mail. And it became common for winning players to be shown the door or restricted in one or more ways. The games themselves, for high denominations anyway, were almost never in excess of 100%, so you needed the slot club and various promotions to be in excess. There were several years when I was down 100,000 or so on the machines, but I had 300,000 or 400,000 in cashback promotions and drawings. My $1 million year, by luck, I was ahead more than 500,000 on the machines. That happened exactly 1 year. It's primarily 99.5% games. Plus, there was all the other stuff. When we played at the MGM Grand, the awards were bigger. In addition to this, we were able to monetize a whole lot of rooms, meals, fight show tickets, etc. I couldn't tell you what percentage came from the games and what percentage came from the other. If I had to come up with a number, I'd say maybe if our average total was 100%, the video poker turned out to be a minus 25%, and the other stuff was worth a positive 125%, which gave us our totals. Video poker a couple decades later, the games are tighter, slot clubs are smaller. They still have drawings and promotions, and mailers are a part of the mix. There's a lot fewer full-time video poker professionals simply because they aren't as welcome as they used to be, and the good conditions don't exist anymore. There used to be a whole slew of quarter full-paid Deuces Wild players who could make $10 an hour or so, which would nicely supplement their Medicare or retirement checks. Not so many of those anymore, as that game has largely disappeared from Las Vegas. Insofar as slots go today, I'm probably not the best one to ask. Many of the casinos that restricted me from playing video poker years ago are not interested in removing those restrictions when I play slots. So a lot of places I get no mailers at all. I can still play without a card, and so the vast majority of my slotting comes from the games, not the benefits.
Yeah, for me, it's like, 99% the games. And I mean, the vast majority of my playing has been without a card. I mean, first of all, in the old days, there was no card. And then since the whole slot club thing, for the most part, I avoided it. There were a couple of years in the late 90s where I was specifically playing 4 comps. And that was back in the day when, you could earn $10,000 for the Tyson tickets they gave you, or many of the casinos were giving you airfare reimbursement. So, you could go in and pick up a few thousand just in airline tickets or whatever. But still, as I say, I would guess 99% of it is over the table, and maybe 1% is stuff casino, maybe even less than 1% is stuff I got from comps.
All right, let's move on. Question asked, I've heard Bob say in the past how New York State video poker machines are different from other states. I was hoping you could explain the difference. Okay, I haven't played in New York, so this is secondhand. As I understand it, the racinos in New York, which are the ones associated with a racetrack, there are special state-approved measures where the games have a fixed payout. The game may look like a 99% game based on the pay schedule, but the random number generator isn't random in the way that most games are random, where every unseen card has an equal chance of appearing. The games are fixed, so the players will receive 93% or whatever it is set out. As I understand it, video poker at casinos not at racetracks in New York are not subject to the same regulation.
Right, I believe
right.
Washington is the same way.
It's not random, but I don't think it's random in the same way. I don't think it's but I think the rules in Washington are different than the rules in New York. Okay, now I'll give a question for Richard. Casinos have been battling card counters for decades, even resorting to illegal measures to keep them from playing. Why don't casinos just utilize CSMs across the board? Not only would it speed up the game, but also make card counting useless. Recreational players wouldn't care, and non-recreational players aren't the type of customers the casino wants anyway. Seems like a simple way to avoid the unpleasant legal confrontations associated with barring or limited APs.
Well, that is what's happened in many European casinos. That is exactly what they've done. In Vegas and in the United States, I mean, it's simple economics. They tried it here in Las Vegas, and they found that the players just didn't play as much, so their revenue went down. So they resorted to 8-deck games with lousy cuts and 6-5 on blackjack. But for some players, they do not like playing against the continuous shuffling machines. So the casinos took a lot of them out.
Okay. Next question. How do you evaluate the return of the mailer on top of the return of video poker games? Assume you get $100 free play per day for the whole month. Do you discount the whole $3,000 mailer by like 20 to 30% since you could miss some of the days to pick up the free play? Okay, there are casinos where you can earn nice mailers, but if you pick them up, it drives down your daily theoretical to low levels, and you don't get any more mailers. At such places, it really only makes sense to pick up the mailer when I'm planning on playing anyway. Another way to do it is to make one big play, earning the mailers, and then pick up all the mailers with no future play. If, in your example, you might get daily $100 for a month, daily $25 for the next month, then $20 weekly for the third month. You wait another month, and then you give them another big play, creating a new set of mailers. This works in some places, not all. I only count the mailers if I pick up. If I'm playing 96 jacks, it takes $20,000 coin in approximately to lose $100 in EV. You don't mention what else comes along in the mix. Do you get slot club benefits? Are there double or triple points some of the times? Are there drawings? If you play $1 million coin in for the year, do you get a car lease? Whatever. The mailer is just part of the mix. You have to consider everything. But the mailer pickup and the play are not really addable because economists call the first a stock amount, meaning it's fixed, and the second is a flow amount. That is $100, however many times you pick them up, they're all $100. But whether you play nothing or play a ton, it's still 100. The 96 jacks is a game that bleeds off, round numbers, an average of $50 of loss per $10,000 coin in. Less what the slot club pays, if anything. If you play more, you lose more. If you say, I'm going to play $25,000 coin in every time I show up, well, that translates to about $125 loss EV-wise in the slot, less the slot club return. And now the minus 125 for the play and the plus 100 from the mailer are addable, but until you commit to playing a specific amount, they're not. Next question. My wife and I play together and switch off periodically without changing whose slot club card is being used. Question. Is it important to always pull my card and have her insert her card when we change positions? Can they refuse to pay if she wins when my card is in, but I'm sitting there just watching? An Indian casino here in Florida was a little mad about it 10 years back when my wife hit a $20,000 royal and my card was in, but they did pay. Okay, different casinos have different rules. I do play on Bonnie's card, usually with her sitting right next to me. If I'm going to be getting a lot of WTGs on the play, I also check with the slot director first. I don't want an after-the-fact problem. Next question. I have a question regarding slot machines. Can the casino adjust the machines so that the bonus payback is less, but the line pay is more? So the machine is still paying out, let's say 87%, but the line hits are bigger than the bonus payouts. I noticed in my local casino that Buffalo Diamond doesn't pay as much as it used to during the 3X and 4X bonuses, but lots more line pays. Is it possible the casino noticed the game is beatable and made changes? My answer might be a difference without a distinction. No, the casinos cannot do that. The program that runs the slot machine is locked up and isn't accessible to the casinos. But the machine manufacturers can certainly do this, and they do. The manufacturers can offer different versions of the same game. The casino can choose which version to install at their casino. More likely, manufacturers come out with different releases. If version 1.0 wasn't performing the way the casinos like, the manufacturers will come up with version 2.0, which addresses what the casino's issues were. The games can look the same, but they're not. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Sometimes sharp players can notice that this is version 1 and that one's version 2, and sometimes you can't tell until you just see your results. Next question. I'm a Caesars Diamond Plus member, working my way to maintain that status for next year. I've never been to Reno, and I thought I'd give the Silver Legacy a try. I have a host, and I think I'd like to book a room through her. I'm finding the best flight to leave Reno would be late in the evening, and was wondering if you think or know it's poor form to book a room through the following day, but check out a day early so that I have a room to relax in if I need it before my evening flight. Do you think checking out a day early in this fashion for my convenience will be problematic for me or my host? What would you do when you have a late flight? Well, I've done what you're suggesting several times. The only difference is that I asked the host what's the best way to handle it. Sometimes they want me to send a text such as check me out of room 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll do it. If there's any type of problem with doing that at this particular property, they'll say something like, we'll do this once for you, but try not to do it in the future because of blah, blah, blah. And if that happens, you make plans for your next trip accordingly. But do it openly and tell them why, and usually the host will work with you.
I mean, the other thing is, how do they know that you left early, right? If you have a late flight and you stay in the room or you keep the room until, 5 p.m. and then just, pull the cover down on the bed and leave, nobody knows that you're not there until the next day. And they don't know that you didn't stay there.
Yeah, there are times, though, that you would like to check out and say, send this to my host before you use my reward credits to pay for the balance, something like that. And if they check you out the next day, they just automatically will charge your credit card or whatever they want without sometimes seeing that you want them to do a host review.
Gotcha. Yep.
All right. Can you discuss prenups for APs? Well, I've had prenups, and I'm not a lawyer and have no legal advice on the subject. It doesn't strike me that prenups for APs are inherently different from prenups for any other profession. Richard, do you have a prenup?
No, I don't, and to my knowledge, I don't know anybody. I mean, you're the first person I just heard say that you had a prenup, but prior to hearing that, I don't think I knew any APs that had a prenup. So, but I agree. I don't know why it would be any different for an AP than anybody else.
So I don't know that I have any advice here, but let me wallow in this a little bit. When I married Shirley back in the mid-90s, I had considerably more wealth than she did. And both of us had a history of more than one divorce. So I didn't want a situation where I say I do, and 3 months later she changes her mind and walks away with half my assets. So I didn't, so I said no. So with her, I set up a deal so that basically if she stays married to me for 10 years, she gets 50%. 9 years, she gets 45%. 6 years, she gets 30%. 2 years, she gets 10% of the combined wealth. So if she's going to be there for the long term, well then fine, she gets half that. And we stayed together 17 years, and our property settlement took us about a half hour, and what didn't involve lawyers. And so the exact wording of the prenup wasn't really critical. It was it had been together long enough that we both knew that it was going to be 50-50, and we could either do it quickly or pay lawyers to take a lot of money. So that was the formula we used. I don't know that I recommend that to anybody else, but everybody's situation is different. Next question. A couple of casinos at my local market now allow players to use cell phones at will, even while sitting and playing hands at the blackjack table. The only restriction is you can't point it directly at the table, but you can look at text, check scores, etc. as much as you want without leaving the table or backing away. I'm new to the card counting AP world, so wasn't around the casino environment when cell phones became commonplace. I've always been curious how big a risk somebody using a cell at the table really is and why casinos make a big deal about it. It would seem that if a casino suspected somebody of cheating using a phone, it would be pretty easy to zoom in on a suspected phone and confirm if the player was using it for anything nefarious. By making players stand up and back away, they are losing hands and the player could be gambling. And if someone was cheating, why wouldn't making them stand up and step away, why would that make any difference? Am I just oblivious to easy cheating scandals, or is this just another case of the casinos costing themselves money due to paranoia? Richard, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The casinos did it because they are paranoid and stupid. And, a smart casino puts chargers at the table to keep people there. You want to encourage people to take selfies in your casino, not tell them they're not allowed to photograph in the casino. It's all just stupidity. You're right. You want to keep the players there as long as possible. You don't want them to have to step away and get out of hands. I mean, a lot of APs use this to their advantage. When they don't want to be playing, they can get up and, talk on their phone or check their text so they can avoid playing when they don't want to. So you hit the nail on the head. They do it because they're paranoid and stupid. And by the way, if somebody was cheating in some way using a cell phone, they're a pretty bad cheat. I mean, it would be pretty obvious that that's what they were doing.
Well, would it? Doesn't necessarily. There could be codes from somebody away from the table and that relayed to your phone that nobody else could read.
Well, I mean,
is that so far-fetched?
Would that be cheating? If I get a text from somebody who, I don't know, what are they doing? My phone is now just a device to receive a text. It's not you know what I mean? And for you to get a text that would be crucial in the middle of a hand as opposed to, I don't know. I'm thinking more, the kind of stuff that I would hear pit bosses say is that, people could use the phone to count cards somehow. Well, okay, but using a computer to count cards on a multiple deck game with a lousy cut is pointless. You can do the same thing in your head. I mean, you gain almost nothing using a computer in that way. And the idea of using a cell phone, I don't know, you're going to put it, angle it somewhere down on the table where the camera is low enough that you somehow are going to see the dealer's hole card. Well, that would be pretty obvious to anybody there that that's what you were trying to do. So I don't know. It just, I think the risks are minimal.
Okay. Next question. I can't seem to win a casino drawing even when I have thousands of entries. I don't live close enough to a casino to be able to do it to go every day. Is it worth my time even trying to earn entries? Or is it just bad luck that I haven't won one? Is it even possible to win with just one entry? I'm especially suspect of electronic entrants and how they can be manipulated. Well, I address this quite a bit in my weekly blog. The general rules on this are pick the kind of drawings that suit your play. If you are a big player, then pick drawings where the more entries you have, the better your chances are. If you're a small player, pick drawings where everybody gets exactly one ticket or some such. If you're a big player, you don't want drawings where everyone gets free entries. If everyone gets free entries, it makes it a crapshoot, and being a big player doesn't help you any. So different drawings have different strategies. Drawings have been very lucrative to me over the years, not so much recently, but they still do. Okay, next question. How easy is it to get a casino in America, particularly Vegas, to pay a slot ticket as a bank transfer as opposed to cash? I'm not talking hand pay territory, more say $600 to $1,000 in accumulated winnings throughout a session. I have never tried that. I am thinking that would be tough, especially since you can easily put six $100 bills into a machine, hit the cash out button, and now you have the ticket you're talking about, and asking for a check for that ticket. Most casinos would not be interested in doing that for reasons of money laundering.
And he's not even asking for a check. He's asking for a bank transfer. I can't imagine a casino doing that. I mean, I don't think they want to wire money for you to your bank unless, like, you're a credit player and you wired it in. But, yeah, you'd be better off having a friend. You give him the money and he Venmos it to you. That goes directly into your bank. Or Zelle, or whatever.
All right. Next question. As a non-United States resident, I'm obviously aware of the $10,000 limit for taking cash abroad. In your experience, is it best to tell them in advance that you have the $10,000 on your person? If you don't tell some countries in advance and they find the cash on you, they will seize the entire amount, not just the additional amount from the $10,000. Richard.
Yeah, no, you're correct. So if you're leaving the United States with more than $10,000 or entering with more than $10,000, you have to declare it. Now, when you're coming in, it's not a problem. You have a customs form, and there's a thing right there on there that asks how much money are you carrying, and you can declare it, and that's not a problem. The problem is when you're leaving the country, because nobody in the freaking airport knows who you're supposed to report it to. And you can run around trying to find the office or whoever is in charge of that, and sometimes it is a real hassle trying to find whoever it is you're supposed to report it to, and nobody there knows. They don't know anything about it, mainly because it's so rare that it happens that none of the airport employees know. One idea might be to call customs before your flight and say, hey, this is the airport I'm flying out of. I'm leaving with more than $10,000 in cash. Where specifically in the airport can I go, fill out the form or do whatever I need to do to declare it?
On a related subject, if you're flying to another country and you try to leave that country with more than you brought in, is that a problem?
Only if they have currency restrictions. So, so when I played in Korea, they had currency restrictions. You were not allowed to bring out more than $10,000 other than money you had brought in. So you would declare when you came into the country, I'm coming with this much cash. You were allowed to take that much cash out. Other than that, you were allowed to take up to $10,000. Same thing in Poland. They had currency restrictions. Now these things may have changed. I mean, the last time I was in Poland was like 1990. So, so you just have to check if the particular country has currency restrictions.
And if they do, and you have more than that, you have to find some way to get it out.
Yeah, then you have to get creative.
All right. Next question. I count cards, but play rated with a very modest bet spread, getting most of my value from the comps generated. Recently, I had a lucky session and now have been flat betted. I can still play and earn comps, but if I spread, I fear I'll be 86th. Any suggestions on how to get this flat betting restriction lifted? Richard.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you'll be able to get it lifted, and trying to get it lifted may do more harm than good. So maybe you're in an area that only has a single casino, but if not, maybe try one of the other casinos. And if the comps are particularly good, I mean, if you're getting cash comps and things like that, well, then flat betting, you may still have an advantage. I mean, you can walk away from negative shoes, go to the bathroom or change tables or whatever. But as far as getting it changed, I doubt it. Oh, now, wait, one other thing. I mean, no, you said they might bar you. So, because I was thinking in Missouri or Atlantic City, they sometimes flat bet you and they're not allowed to bar you. So, you could just, but you're playing on a card, so they're going to know who you are and that you've been flat bet. Yeah.
So, I suspect the listener won't like your answer, Richard, but that's the way it goes. Next question is for me. Is the strategy for Deuces Wild double-double bonus available? Can it be figured out with video poker for winners? And I do not have that strategy. And it cannot be calculated using video poker for winners, which doesn't work for most people now anyway. Good luck. The cannot be calculated using win poker either. You would have to write your own software. Now, I looked up what Michael Shackelford said on that particular game, and he found a couple versions of it for returns of 98% and lower in some other state. And so if that's the game, to me, it would be no reason to learn it, because even if you did learn it, it's only a 98% game. Possibly higher returning games are somewhere, but I have not seen them in Vegas. All right. Hi, gentlemen. I got my first royal flush on 5-cent Deuces Wild. I held 2 cards. I've attached a photo. My question is this. I'm fairly sure I made the right play in deuces, but what are the actual odds of me hitting a royal holding 2 cards? I usually grind on the higher denominations, but was a little upset that it finally happened on nickels. Nevertheless, I'm thrilled to get the monkey off my back. Okay, so you sent a picture showing you're playing a 97.6% game. Why on earth would you send a picture of such a bad game to a show that's about gambling with an edge? Drawing 3 cards and connecting is 1 in 16,000 round numbers. You're playing triple play, though, so the odds aren't nearly that long since you have 3 pops added. As long as you've been playing such terrible games, you better stay at nickels, because when you go to higher denoms, you're going to lose your shirt. Game selection is a lot more important than just playing. The royals will come. Next question. On my last trip to Vegas, I discovered 3-way action video poker at Palace Station, and I loved it. There were only a few machines on the floor, and most of them were in use at all hours of the day and night. I went to VP Free 2 to see if I could locate other machines. Didn't find any. The game seems popular enough with at least some people. Why aren't there more of them around? Also, do you know where I can find the game in Vegas? Okay. Poker has been around for more than 25 years. A friend who told me 20 years ago that there were no pay schedules returning more than 99%. Plus, the correct strategy isn't always obvious. So I never studied the game because I didn't have a strategy and I didn't want to play a game that tight anyway. I have seen it for low denominations at the Gold Coast maybe a year ago. I don't know if it's still there. I certainly haven't done a survey of that. VP Free 2 generally deals with games returning more than 99%. So that's another reason they would not be listed on that site.
But if you asked on VP Free, wouldn't that be a place where he might find an answer to that question?
There are video poker chat rooms. VP Free has a chat room. Wizard of Vegas allows for video poker questions. Video Poker for Winners has a chat forum. So you could certainly post your questions to those places. I don't think you're going to get any usable answer, though. Okay, the Plaza in downtown Las Vegas has $75 match play per day for bingo. This seems like an obvious AP move, but it seems strange that the promotion took place. Would you be able to advise if there's a catch in this and not what it seems to be? They advertise this well throughout the casino, and I'd imagine nearly everyone in the bingo hall is taking that promotion. And the answer is yes. All players who swipe their card get 3 $25 match play coupons. The thing is, everybody has them. And the size of the prizes are based on the fact that everybody has them. I haven't gone into the bingo room, but this doesn't sound like an AP move to me. The AP is when the prizes are geared so you pay less than other people did. But if you're paying the same as everybody, then there doesn't seem to be any advantage. All right. We're now going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with some more questions from you, our listeners.
Tales from the Felt is a new card counting and advantage play coffee table book that takes you inside the grind. It's 21 stories told by 21 different APs. Adventure, intrigue, and loneliness on the path to beating casinos for millions. Beautifully illustrated and bound, this collector's edition book features Hall of Famers and emerging heroes of the game. Proceeds from this book go to help those affected by problem gambling. Learn more at store.blackjackapprenticeship.com, and you will find a link in the show notes.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Powerhouse Poker. This is a 10 coins per line game where you get dealt extra hands, sometimes with multipliers, when you're dealt a paying combination. For example, if you're dealt 2 pair, you'll be given hands, and 4 of them will have multipliers from 4x to 8x. How many extra hands you get and how big the multipliers are varies from game to game. The extra hands start in the same position and the same hold as you made. Let's say you're dealt 2 pair queens and 5s in a game where it's correct to hold both pair. Should you decide to only hold the queens, as many players incorrectly do, the extra hands will all start from holding a pair of queens. The game always returns more than the 5-coin version of the same pay schedule, and no strategic variations are necessary in order to play the game accurately.
Everyone seems to be talking about sports betting lately. If you're looking to learn more about how you can profit from the sports betting gold rush, then unabated.com is a great resource for you. Founded by frequent Gambling with an Edge guests, Captain Jack and Rufus Peabody, Unabated has free educational articles and an odds screen to help you shop lines. If you bet props, their Essentials tier has projections and simulators you won't find anywhere else. Premium tier membership adds an array of pricing calculators, in-game tools, and the most advanced real-time odds screen available. Take a trial run with their tools to decide if unabated.com is right for you.
All right, we're back with our mailbag show. Recently, the World Game Protection seminars went on. This is hosted by Willie Allison, who has been a guest on the show a number of times. According to CDC Gaming Reports, Sal Piacente, surveillance expert, gaming expert, was one of the guests, and he's quoted as saying, "Advantage players don't want to cheat and aren't doing anything illegal, but instead use their minds to beat the game, whether watching to see if a dealer exposes a whole card or by card counting." Richard, do you agree with that assessment?
Well, yeah. And I was fortunate enough, the day that article came out, I spent the afternoon with Sal and a few other magicians, including Matt Franco and a fantastic magician named Charlie Fry. And but when I saw Sal, I said, I really appreciate the fact that you pointed out in the article that, card counting and advantage play is not cheating. And, he said he wanted to be really clear because we get lumped in with cheaters so often. So anyway, I appreciated what he was saying and that he made a point to do that. So Sal's a great guy. We've tried to get him on the show a number of times. He always seems to be too busy. So one of these days we'll have him on.
And I'm not so sure about that statement. For every 1,000 APs, you'll have 1,000 different definitions of what exactly is cheating and what isn't. Like, I've been cheated by an AP. I've been stiffed. In my writings, I've confessed to some not quite kosher moves along the way, along my journey. Some people have taken big exception to some of the things that I said that I've done. Richard once told me about a famous AP that Richard said he likes the guy, but he would never do business with that guy. He just would not trust him to be a good business partner. The idea that APs never cheat, I think, is a bunch of hooey. Some do, some don't. Now, you could have say taxes. If two APs were just watching a football game and they made a $100 bet at the end of the game, they paid it. One of them paid. That is a taxable event. I'm guessing the odds are really strong that there were no taxes paid on that event. No, on all cash-based businesses, of which gambling frequently is, taxes get shortchanged. Gamblers, whether AP or not, are in that mix. They will frequently cheat in that way.
To me, there's a very big distinction between people who cheat on their taxes and cheating in casinos. And to me, a lot of people use the word cheat when what they mean is unethical. But when I talk about cheating in the context of players in a casino, I'm talking about the legal definition of, and to me, advantage players are people who take money from casinos without breaking the law. So I'm not talking about whether they cheated on their taxes by not declaring a $100 football bet. And when they write these articles about the people playing in casinos, they lump advantage players who are not cheating in the casino with people who are cheating in the casino. And that's what so many of us object to.
Okay. So
now,
let's look at
let me give you one
where...
Let me give you one more example. I hear people say, sure, if you see the dealer's hole card and play that, that is cheating. Well, no, the Supreme Court has ruled that that is not cheating. What they mean is they find it unethical, which is fine. Everybody chooses their own ethics, but it is not cheating.
Well, the hole carding, the most famous hole carding case is Einbinder, where the judges basically say if the dealer's going to show you the card, you're allowed to use that information. But in a tribal casino in Michigan, that was ruled as cheating. So it's the same infraction, as it were, but different jurisdictions have different definitions of cheating. So sometimes there's no big agreement. A similar case maybe would be the Phil Ivey Kelly's son. Most players felt that what Ivy and Son were doing was perfectly legal. It was kind of seducing the casino into going along with what they wanted, because the casinos were greedy and wanted to win. And it turned out that the courts didn't agree with that. The courts made Ivy and Son pay.
Right, but they did say, the judge did say they were not cheating.
The judge in London did say that. I don't think the judge in Atlantic City said that. But they did make Kelly and Son, or Ivy and Son, reimburse the casinos. In one case, give the money back. Another case,
the casino never paid him to start with.
Paid the money. Yeah. So like there was no clear definition of what was cheating or what is not cheating in that particular case. And different players, I don't think necessarily. Now, am I saying all APs cheat? Absolutely not. Some of my best friends are APs, and I trust them as much as I can trust anybody. I have a partner with whom we share, and if he says he lost $800 today, well, and I accept 100% that he lost $800 today, and I have to pay my share of that. So I don't have any problem with that. But just because you're an AP doesn't mean you're always doing things legally. So a statement that APs do things legally, I think, well, some do, some don't. And it isn't necessarily in saying just because I'm an AP, that means I don't cheat. I don't think that's a fair statement.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree.
Okay. And I suspect I will get hate mail. But that will story my life. At the end of our show, we have recommended sections. So, Richard, do you have a recommended for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm watching a new show called Waco, and it's about the whole Waco debacle back in Texas with the Branch Davidian compound. Only 2 episodes have come out. It's really excellent, really, really interesting.
So the massacre hasn't happened yet?
No, not even close. It's the very beginnings of it, and I mean it just makes it clear like how screwed up the FBI and the I forgot the other organization, but how screwed up they were. The whole thing was just. I mean, the series actually starts at Ruby Ridge, which was another, debacle. It was the ATF, and the ATF and the FBI are kind of, blaming each other whenever things went wrong, and it's infuriating watching it, but really well done, well acted, and really interesting. I believe it's on Showtime.
So. My recommended is going to be another book by David Baldacci. I've been rereading or re-listening to these books, all of which I listened to years ago. The most recent one that really struck me is called The Collectors. It is the second book in the Camel Club series. The Camel Club is about 4 oddballs live in Washington, D.C., who help solve big things. And The Collectors, which is the second one in that series, introduce a female con who is very, very good. So she goes through her cons, and so several of which are described in great detail before she hooks up with the other members of the Camel Club. I found it quite interesting and very enjoyable. It's The Collectors by David Baldacci. We welcome your questions at gamblingwithanedge@gmail.com, or send them to Richard or me individually via email. Richard's on Twitter, so send them there.
At RWM21. And yeah, you'll notice this episode is a little bit shorter. That's because we ran out of questions, so definitely send them in.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.